Hello, everyone. We've been traveling now for nearly 3 months, and we figure it's time for us. We wanted to sit down and share our approach to long term travel on a budget and what drives our travel philosophy. We'll talk about why we travel, how we budget or not budget, the tools we use, and the challenges we face, all while staying true to our philosophy of slow, meaningful travel.
So for us, travel is not just about ticking off places on a list. It's about immersing ourselves in the culture and experiencing life in a new way.
By spending more time in each place, I think we get a chance to connect more deeply with the cultures and the people that we come in contact with.
And this kind of travel has really taught us to live with less and appreciate the small things.
Definitely, like a small backpack.
So a little bit about how we budgeted for our 6-month travel.
So we kind of approach this with a dollar figure we'd like to spend per month, but really in the end, which we'll cover down the road a little bit when we hit the 3-month mark, when we hit the halfway mark, we'll get into the real tight numbers on it, you'll see. But essentially, when we set our budget, we can track back and we see a certain percentage of it is spent on accommodations and a certain percentage on the travel expense, the transportation. And those tend to be the largest pieces of our traveling. We choose accommodations with kitchens so we can cook, and we take public transportation instead of taxis, so buses and trains. And we try to book tickets if we do have to. On the rare occasion we have to get a plane to go someplace, and sometimes it's cheaper, but for the most part we don't fly. It's that it's usually a budget airline, which comes with its own set of differences, like restrictions.
Sometimes we skip certain attractions. We plan our days around free activities, and that's okay. It's all part of the adventure. We usually pick probably at least one thing that we pay for per city.
Yeah, one attraction. We call it an attraction, but it could be a museum. It could be a historical site.
One pay for activity.
Like in Rome, we did the Parthenon.
Pantheon.
I'm going to get that right. The Pantheon. So, as far as tools and resources that we use that help us plan our trip, we like to go to a lot of different sites. Rome to Rio is a good one. Google Maps can help us chart our distance. There are a lot of different sites and apps that you can go to that'll help you. Most of them are at least partially. None of them is like the perfect pill. Most of them are partially helpful in ways where you put 2 or 3 of them together and you can actually map out your trip to another location. We can find places to stay. There are a number of different ones that we've used over time, like Airbnb and Agoda, Booking.com. There's a lot of different ways in which we can find a place to stay. We track our expenses using a spreadsheet, which is true, and it's ugly, but we do track it. There are some challenges that this sort of budget travel goes. Of course, as you all know, we're using backpacks and we're traveling light, but traveling on a budget means smaller accommodations. We aren't getting a big hotel room at the Ritz. A lot of times they're small homes or studio efficiency apartments. Sometimes it's a shared bathroom, and we definitely skip the high ticket attractions for the most part in any given town, just because it's not valuable to us to see that thing or go or live in that situation. It gives us an opportunity to be able to go further and farther with a budget.
And there's charm to figuring out a tiny kitchen or navigating a train system in a new city and a foreign language. Keeps things interesting.
Yeah, it's never the same adventure because we always have to go and readjust our model with every city and every
New
location.
country.
It's like setting up base camp. Every time we go to a new accommodation, we have to understand the lay of the land. We have to understand all this stuff, and it's challenging every day. I would not lie to you and say that, oh, it's a piece of cake. No, every day comes with its own set of challenges, whether we're planning the next or we're trying to set up in one place or even
Navigating the current.
navigating the current. So there's definitely a challenge, but it's fun. So our channel is no destination necessary, and really it's the core to our philosophy, because over this whole course things, it was never about getting to any place. I can't tell you how many places we've stopped at and stayed at. We either didn't know they existed, got to be honest, Tallinn, Estonia, or we just never planned to go there, but we ended up going there anyways, because really it's the travel, it's the
Journey.
it's the journey.
Meeting people, trying local food, embracing the culture. It's made every destination memorable.
Indeed, I think that's the best part of this, and that's why our philosophy has always been it's just you got to go. You got to go and you got to experience it. You can't say you saw the world or understand the world if you haven't been there. Living with less while on the road, it's actually pretty freeing because all of our stuff is in our bags, right?
Yeah, it's amazing how little we actually need.
Yeah, and we've even found stuff in our own packing, which, I mean, neither one of us was exceeded 20 pounds or whatever.
Yep.
Weight.
We're at
restriction.
approximately 10 kilograms.
About 10 kilograms.
Around 22 pounds.
Yeah, mine was a little less than 10 kilograms. But anyways, the point is that these are light packs. There's all the stuff that we need and carry, and we've seen people with really huge suitcases that are probably traveling for a weekend or a week.
A week or something.
It's amazing that they need so much, but it's very freeing. It's absolutely freeing.
I actually just sent a box of stuff home that I didn't need.
We want to offer up some practical tips for anybody who's aspiring to travel like this, because this is what it gets down to. Remember these important tips. Pack only the essentials. When I say the only essentials, there are a lot of really good videos out there that you can see about packing. We have one from when we got started, and we've revised our packs from then. But it absolutely was a tight pack to begin with, and we have gotten it even tighter.
Yeah, so we'll do another video on what we actually need.
Yeah, an update. Learn the basic phrases in the local language to connect with locals. I mean, this is just it. When you're going around town and you want to see something or you need to ask directions, there are so many resources out there to learn about some basic phrases that every language uses. And so if you get an opportunity, I've been, I dusted off my high school French and have been working diligently to learn more French. Lisa learned Italian, and she has some Spanish background too. So it makes it a lot easier for us to navigate, at least in those areas where those languages are used. But we absolutely still have to understand Finnish, Swedish, even Estonian.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of languages, and you just have to learn on the fly all the time to make sure that you can navigate that. The next tip is plan ahead, but always leave room for spontaneity. And in our case, it's a lot of spontaneity.
We don't plan very far ahead.
No. Now, somebody asked me a few weeks ago, they said, so how far along do you plan your next trip? And I said, well, yesterday we planned our travel to leave tomorrow. And sometimes it isn't even a 2-day. Sometimes it's just literally tomorrow we're getting on a train and we are going on to the next, and we have no idea until that moment where we were going. And I think we should do a video about like the struggle sometimes we go through and trying to determine where we're going to go and how we're going to go when the world is available to you. It becomes very hard. It's like going to a restaurant with 1,000 things on the menu and trying to figure out what you need to eat. You got to choose what you want because there's so many opportunities. And finally, set a realistic budget.
But then stick to it. The key is try to stick
to it. It may, honestly, what is it? If you don't set a goal and at least aspire to it, you'll never get close. You'll never get close to it. And that's kind of how we've approached it. We set a very tight goal. We have overspent, and we'll talk about that in a future video. We've overspent our first 2 months, which has helped us to realize that we have to readjust our budget in order to accommodate that and to slow down. Less travel, longer stays. But once again, we'll talk about that in the future. Traveling long term doesn't have to break the bank. You can spend $5,000 or $10,000 at a resort for 1 week of vacation, but we've spent the lower part of that amount or less for an entire month of travel. And if you can do that, you can stretch out your travel a lot longer. You just have to make accommodations all along the way. Yeah, I think we got a quick little video here for just kind of a catch up on some side business so everybody knows what's going on in our lives, right? The travel part. And you can travel too. What's your travel philosophy or best budget tip?
Share it in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Bing, bing. What? I have to say that?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So we're going to cut this whole section out? Or is it me going to be like, you're not going to save it? Because this is gold.
Just go.
Fine.